Hey everybody, welcome back to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com and another episode of Questions and Coffee with David. This is where I answer all your questions that come in over YouTube, over Facebook, and through email to try to help you with all your home studio questions, whether it's recording gear, mixing, mastering, recording, whatever it is. I'm here to try to help you. So if you want one of your questions featured in an upcoming episode, please send me an email to info@HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com. It's info@HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, and I'll be sure to feature your question in an upcoming episode. Now, before we get to this week's questions, I want you to go on out to HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, and I want to give you a free gift. I want to give you 5 free mixing training courses worth about $110 in value. 5 free mixing training courses just for visiting HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com. All you need to do is go right to the homepage at HomeRecordingMadeEasy.com, click on the orange button, sign up for your courses today, and I want to give that to you as a gift. Thank you so much for your support. Now let's head on over to this week's set of questions, and let's start with question number 1. Okay, question number 1 comes in from Patrick, and Patrick writes in, "Hi David, thanks for reaching out. Just finished Studio One recording Made Easy last night. I really enjoyed it and I learned a lot. I do have a couple of questions for you. Can you use EZdrummer 2 with Studio One 3 Artist? I can't get," and then also, second question, "I can't get my AKG Perception 420 condenser mic to work with Studio One 3. Using my Shure SM58, any suggestions on why it's not working? It worked fine with my Boss BR 1600. Thanks for looking forward to my next training class." Well, thanks Patrick for writing in. I'm glad that you enjoyed mixing in Studio One Made Easy. Great course. Also check out Recording in Studio One Made Easy if you don't have that already. If you're a beginner to Studio One, regardless of whether you're using version 2, 3, or 4, the latest version, those 2 courses will help you get started if you're really new to Studio One or you've been using it for a while and you're still struggling with it. Those 2 courses, Recording in Studio One and Mixing in Studio One, will help you out tremendously, I promise. So now to get to your questions. Can you use EZdrummer 2? Not with Studio One 3 Artist, not with Artist by itself. Now the difference between the versions of Studio One, you have Artist and you have Professional. The main difference is this. In the Artist version, you cannot use or export MP3 files, and you cannot use third-party plugins or third-party VST software instruments. You can only use the ones that are standard with Studio One, that come stock. They're stock plugins. In Professional, you can use the MP3 export and import feature, as well as use any third-party plugin or VST. Plus, the Professional version also gives you the project page, the mastering suite, which is not included in Artist either. So that's really the differences between. There's some others, but the main differences are those 3, and that's the difference between a $99 piece of software and a $300 piece of software, okay? So if you're thinking that one day you want to use third-party plugins, or if you want to learn how to use the mastering part of Studio One, which is super powerful, if you record your own music and you want to master your own music all in one platform, consider the upgrade. Not to mention, several times through the course of the year, PreSonus puts that on sale, the upgrade feature on sale. So maybe you could get it for $150 as opposed to $300 or whatever, but check that out. But however, if you want to just stay with Artist and you want to be able to use third-party plugins, you can purchase, I think for $80 US, you can purchase what they call their add-on patch that will allow you to use EZdrummer 2 or any third-party plugin with Studio One Artist. So you can do it for an additional $80, but you still don't get the mastering suite and you can't use MP3s. Now again, that changes from time to time the way PreSonus sets up their packages. So depending on when you're watching this video, go out to PreSonus.com and just double check those pricing and those compatibility. That's how it is as of the recording of this video. But if you're watching this video 2 years from now, things could have totally changed. So that's the answer to your first question. Your second question is about the AKG 420 condenser mic. It's not working, but your SM57 or your SM58 is working. That is probably because the condenser mic requires 48 volt phantom power, and a dynamic microphone, which is what the Shure SM58 doesn't require that. On your interface, regardless of which one you're using, most of the time they're going to have a 48 volt little power switch to provide the 48 volts needed to power a condenser mic. That's probably your issue. So check that out. Depending on what interface you're using, you should be able to have phantom power. I don't know of any interface that doesn't have phantom power these days, so check that out. Okay, Patrick, so I hope those answers your questions. If you're struggling still, or if you have any additional questions, please write in and I'll be glad to help you. So now let's get on to question number 2. Okay, question number 2 comes in from Brian, and Brian writes in, "Hi David, got a question maybe you can help me with. I'm about to buy either a Series 3 32 mixer or a Quantum-based setup. The Quantum is the PreSonus HN Thunderbolt interface for his home studio. My biggest concern is the Series 3 mixer is the latency issue and no 96K. I would really rather have the mixer. It looks like it would be way more fun to use, but sounds like the Quantum is just plain better. What are your thoughts on this, especially any latency situations with the Series 3 mixer? Thanks, Brian." Well, Brian, thanks for writing in. So you're in luck, because I have still a Studio Live 32 mixer, Series 3, and I also have a Quantum interface. And there's many reasons for one over the other, and I'll talk to you about it. We could talk about that in another video. But as far as latency problems, I've never had a latency issue with the Series 3 mixer at all. So I'm not sure what latency issues you would be experiencing. It is a USB connection versus a Thunderbolt connection. But if you're recording 1, 2, 3 tracks at a time, or recording a full drum kit, and I've done that many times, I've never had a latency problem. So I don't think that's your issue. Now, why would you choose the mixer over the Quantum or the Quantum over the mixer? Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. The first and foremost is that the Studio Live Series 3 mixer, although it is used as an audio interface, it really isn't an audio interface, if you know what I mean. That Series 3 mixer, or all the Studio Live mixers, were really built around a live mixer first and foremost. The interface piece and the DAW control piece of it was kind of an afterthought. Not that it doesn't work awesome, because it really, really does. But there are some limitations that I found, at least in my home studio, which I know you're not asking about and you're not experiencing, but let me tell you a couple of things that I found limiting with the Series 3 mixer, in case it'll help anybody else out there, or maybe Brian as you're building out your studio. The one thing that I found limiting using the Series 3 mixer for what I do here, and the reason why I bought the Quantum, is the fact that if you want to have access to do to your direct outputs on the back of the interface, like on the Quantum, you have 8 direct outputs. So when you're doing things like analog summing, which I've talked a lot about on my YouTube channel, and you want to go out of your interface into an analog summing hardware and then back into Studio One on 2 sets of inputs, that is much easier to do and is much more straightforward to set up with a Quantum interface and with a Studio Live mixer. Even though the Series 3 mixers have what they call flex mixes, and they have some direct outputs, and you can do things inside of the Series 3 mixer with digital patch bays and all that kind of stuff. There are some workarounds to supposedly make that happen, but I'll be quite honest with you, I struggled with doing that for about 3 months, and I've talked to tech support at PreSonus and a lot of people in the user community, the PreSonus user community, which were really helpful and really tried to help. And it's almost like a mental workout, a mental brain workout, to try to get that routing to work where you can do what I just described. Also, if you wanted to do something like, let's say something like on my stereo bus, I want to put a hardware compressor, and I want to run the signal out of my interface into that compressor, then back into my interface and print it in Studio One, so I get the effect of the hardware signal, kind of like analog summing. Again, not the easiest thing to do with a Series 3 mixer when you're using it with Studio One and trying to do DAW control. There are some workarounds for it, but for me it was more of a pain in the butt than it was for what it was worth. When you're using like a Quantum interface or any audio interface, it's more set up and designed to do those types of things. What's great about the Series 3 mixers is that it's really an all-in-one package, and you can do a ton of things with it. But sometimes things that I just described are more workarounds than anything else. And although you supposedly can do some of these things, I can tell you from experience, it's not the easiest thing to do. And from my simple-minded kind of thinking, I just like to unplug a piece of hardware, plug a new piece of hardware, and I want to be going in 5 seconds. I don't want to have to dive into a touch screen, go through all kinds of multiple menus and all kinds of different routing configurations to get something to work. So if you're going to be using lots of external hardware or analog summing or any of those types of things, and you're choosing an interface, I would say go with more something like the Quantum. If you then want to use surface control, DAW control, you don't have to have a Series 3 mixer. You can get a couple of fader ports. When I bought my Series 3 mixer, my 32 channel, the fader port 16 wasn't out yet. Now they have a fader port 16 with 16 motorized faders, which is just for controlling Studio One, which is fantastic. And you could take 2 of those and daisy chain them together to get 32 channels. So if you just want to get the mixer so you can get your hands a tactile feel on the surface control, but you still want to have the benefits of doing some of the more easily, specific things with something like a Quantum interface, then it may be better off to just get a Quantum interface, a couple of fader port 16s, and dollar for dollar, you're pretty much at the same price as buying a Series 3 mixer. As a matter of fact, it's a little bit less expensive at the recording of this video. However, if you're going to use that Studio Live Series 3 mixer to go out into a club, go on the road, do live band recording, live band mixing, then a mixer is a little bit more conducive for that. So I guess it really depends on what you're going to use it for, but I wouldn't worry about the latency problem because I didn't experience that. But think about what you're really buying that mixer for. If you're buying it just for the surface control, you may want to consider the interface and you may want to consider the fader ports. It's a better solution. And when you want to patch hardware in and out or do something like analog summing, it is going to be a lot easier to do. And I know this firsthand because in the last 5 days of recording this video, I just switched over from a Series 3 mixer in my studio to a Quantum and a couple of fader ports. So I can tell you firsthand that that is the way to go. So I hope that answers your question. I know it's a little bit more long-winded than you probably wanted, but then if anybody asks me in the future about this, I can just refer them to this video. So thanks, Brian, for writing in. If you have any more questions, hit me up and I'll be glad to help you. So now let's move on over to question number 3. Okay, last question for this week's episode comes in from Josh, and Josh writes in, "Hello David, just want to start off by saying I really enjoy your videos. I'm new to recording and in the future I will sign up for all of your courses. In the meantime, can you do a video on how to record and mix a V drum kit? This is how I record my electronic drum set. I have a TD12 module, that's a Roland TD12. Left and right go into a passive radial DI box, direct box, then into an Apollo interface on channel 1 and 2. Then I insert my Neve 88RS plugin into Studio One Pro. I notice I get better clarity when using a DI box on the V drums and just going straight out of the module into the interface. What do you think about this? Is it okay or am I missing something as far as my recording setup? P.S. I took your advice on using Universal Audio plugins. I think it's good investing. Thanks for your time, Josh." Well, Josh, thanks for writing in. So first off, yes, the Universal Audio system is a great investment long-term for your studio. Awesome that you're using the Neve 88RS channel strip. It's a fantastic channel strip, and if you're recording your drums through that, it's probably why you're really happy with the sound. Great, great rig. Now, I don't have a virtual or a V drum kit, so I can't do a video on that. However, I've used them, so I'm really familiar with what you're talking about. So you're going out of the module into a DI box, out of the DI box into your interface. There's nothing wrong with that. As opposed to just getting rid of the DI box and going straight, you notice you're getting a better sound. And I would believe that because the DI box is probably increasing and enhancing the signal going into the Apollo as opposed to the level just coming out of the Roland module itself. Now, I've never done an A-B comparison. I don't have a V drum kit here, as I said, so I can't do that. But if it's working for you, you're not doing anything wrong. And if you like the sounds, you're rocking and rolling, man. That's the way to go. So I wouldn't be worried about that. Keep recording through your Universal Audio plugins, process the sounds on the way in, and you should be good to go. And that sounds like a really good setup. So I wouldn't worry about using the DI box. If it's working for you, it should be fine. It's not going to damage anything or anything like that. So I hope that helps and answers your question, Josh. If you have any other questions, thanks for writing in. Write in again. And thanks for signing up for all my courses. And if you have any questions on any specific courses, let me know. If you're a drum guy here, you may want to check out Mixing Drums Made Easy would be really good for you, even though it was done with an acoustic drum kit. And Recording Drums Made Easy, which again was done with an acoustic drum kit. But there's a lot of miking techniques and stuff that doesn't really apply to a V drum kit. But if you're into acoustic drums at all, those are 2 courses if you're into drums to check out. Recording in Drums Made Easy and Mixing Drums Made Easy. That'll help you with all your drum stuff. So thanks for writing in, Josh, and that is it for this week's episode of Questions and Coffee with David. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support for writing in. Once again, go to homerecordingmadeeasy.com, get your 5 free training courses, hit that orange button, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and if you have any questions at all, hit me up with an email, and I will be sure to see you in the next video. Take care.